everybody streaming yet?
Yeah.
I'm almost
All right,
there.
no worries. We're just waiting on a couple of things.
Is it okay with you if I go live?
There we go. All right, folks, everybody, stand by.
Afternoon, everybody.
There we go. Oh, there's the mayor. Good afternoon,
Some on
Mayor.
this side if you want. Couple guys on that side. Can't go across the front, can you? Everybody ready? Okay, good afternoon. I'm joined by Mayor Hopkins, Major Padalano, Captain McAteer, Detective Iacone, Detective Desano, Detective Fish. And I want to point out that these are the lead detectives that did the work that led to today's good news. As you know, on March 18th, approximately 3:58 p.m., a caregiver for Miss Linda DeLomba came to Cranston Police Headquarters to report that she was taking care of a resident, Miss Linda DeLomba, and that she lost her somewhere inside Burlington Coal Factory. Detectives and officers went to the coal factory. They spent hours going through video footage at that location. And quickly, I wouldn't say quickly, it took hours, that we wasted valuable time and assets and resources and learned that Ms. DeLomba and Ms. Gerard never entered the Burlington Coal Factory. When Ms. Gerard was confronted with that information, she stated that she actually lost her in front of her residence, which is at 3436 North Clarendon Street, and that she was inside the vehicle, the back of her vehicle. She went inside to heat some food up for roughly 4 minutes, exited the residence and said that somehow Ms. DeLomba had exited the vehicle. We knew that that story probably wasn't very accurate. We knew that the safety locks on that vehicle were activated in the rear, and then Ms. DeLomba suffers from some severe physical disabilities that prohibits her from really walking or climbing over seats or anything like that. So we had our doubts of that story, and we continue to investigate, and we continue to interview Ms. Gerard on multiple occasions, hoping she would give us more information, truthful information, and unfortunately, that didn't happen. So we continue the investigation for more than 70 hours, around the clock. The credit goes to the people, that detectives that are here, and many of the patrol officers and other detectives that are not here, who worked around the clock with the sole purpose of finding Miss DeLomba. We continue to search, as you know, aerial searches with drones, canine searches, ground searches, all hands on deck. The FBI, State Police, Providence Police, all assisted. We executed search warrants at 2 residences. One was Miss DeLomba's apartment where she stays, 3436 North Clarendon Street. We also executed a search warrant on Sinclair Street in Providence, which is a house that's currently being sold by Ms. Gerard and her boyfriend. So we continue to search. We never gave up hope, but I'll be honest with you, as time goes on, somebody with such severe intellectual and physical handicaps, our thoughts became quite grim, but we never gave up hope that we would find her. This morning, around 12:13 p.m., we received a call from a gentleman that lives on Pond Street in the city of Cranston. He stated that he had a car that was parked on the street for a couple weeks that he was gonna bring to get repaired. And when he went inside the vehicle to jumpstart it, he was startled to find Mr. Lama curled up, laying down in the back hatch area of his Honda Pilot. At that point, he contacted the Cranston Police Dispatch. We responded out. Mr. Lama was conscious and alert, in relatively good spirits. It appears, based on the situation, that she had been there for a period of time. Part of our investigations determined how she ended up in the back of that car, and if anybody put her back there, if she actually climbed in the vehicle. We're doing that investigation as we speak. Mr. Lama is at Rhode Island Hospital, where she's being evaluated. So she appears to be in pretty good health at this point. We're just ecstatic that she was found alive. You can imagine when we got that call what it was like. I was happy to be able to call Mr. Lama's nephew, who lives in Massachusetts, and he was with Mr. Lama's sister, and give them the great news that she had been found alive. They're at the hospital now. I can tell you that Mr. Rhode is in police custody. She will be charged with abuse, neglect, or exploitation of adult with severe impairment, which is a felony offense. She'll also be charged with obstruction of an officer while in the execution of their duty. And I can tell you, Seven Hills, which is they own the group home where Ms. DeLamba resides, was concerned from the very beginning, was in constant contact with the police department up until, this afternoon when she was found, and they were just as elated as the family members in the police department. We're glad this turned out the way it did. A lot of these don't turn out in a positive way, and we're just thankful that we got so much help. I also want to talk about the community that takes care of people with special needs. I myself, I'm a coach with the Special Olympics. I was with some of my athletes today, and they were actually at the scene yesterday helping the search. So I just want to shout out to them, as well as all the people that offered to come down, that actually did a physical search of the location. And we did our best to try to keep everybody informed, but as you know, we had some restrictions because we believed there was criminal charges that were associated with her disappearance, and we are bringing criminal charges against Mr. Rhode, and we will bring any criminal charges necessary if any other people are identified as a result of this investigation. I don't field any questions that you may have at this time.
Colonel, can you go over, where do you think she's been this entire time?
And that's part of our investigation. Where she was found was roughly 3/4 of a mile away from North Clarendon Street. We find it highly unlikely that someone, and that's by vehicle, by the way, it would take a period of time to get to North Clarendon Street to where she was located on Pond Street. So that's part of our investigation, but we don't know if she climbed in, if somebody, put her in there after the investigation begun. We don't know that, but that we will get the answers to that for sure.
Had that area been searched previously?
We have done a search of that area. We did a cursory search. The vehicle that Ms. DeLamba was found in had heavily tinted windows. It's obviously the rear of an SUV, and she was laying flat down in that area. So, it's possible that somebody might have overlooked her in that area. But to be honest with you, we really didn't have a good search area because we received so many false stories about where she may be, which delayed our ability. So basically, the whole city was a search area, and we have 30 square miles in the city. And also, we didn't have any visible evidence that she was in fact in the city of Cranston. So, basically the whole United States was a search area at that time, but we did focus on, obviously, North Clarendon Street and some other areas. We did have information that, from the caregiver, that they did travel to that particular area to get her nails done, and left her in the vehicle while she was getting her nails done. And, but she said she left that area and went back to North Clarendon Street, and that's where she went missing. So again, there was so many false stories that were given to us that hindered our investigation and our efforts.
Are the false stories the basis of the obstruction charge?
That's correct.
Can you talk more about Ms. DeLomba's current condition and just how she's doing now? Does she have any injuries that are visible?
She didn't have any visible injuries. She seemed very happy. You know, obviously she's nonverbal, but can say a few words. And her expression on her face was relief that she'd been found. And obviously she's getting a full physical examination at the hospital. And we'll find out if there was any injuries or any other crimes that may have been committed against her.
Do you know how far back Ms. Gerard's relationship goes with Ms. DeLomba?
We were told it's more than 6 years. She's been working directly with her for 6 years. And then previously at another group home, she had worked with her indirectly. So she knew her roughly 9 years.
Do you know when she'll be arraigned?
She's at Cranston Police Headquarters now, so within the next few hours, she'll be arraigned on the charges.
Colonel,
Those
can you,
false stories lead you to believe that there was any malintent on the behalf of the caregiver?
Well, of course, when somebody gives you a bunch of incorrect stories, red flags are raised. As investigators, you know, you have to wonder why somebody wouldn't just give you the correct information. We probably could have found her within a few hours, you know. And this is a woman that takes insulin, that needs insulin on a regular basis. She can't fend for herself. She's severely handicapped. She can't walk. She can only walk a short distance, if that. She has unsteady gait and unsteady balance. So there's a lot of questions of how she could make it, you know, 3/4 of a mile away from the area that we were told where she went missing. So, you know, there's a lot of red flags, and we were concerned that it could have been worse. It could have been not just her being missing. Somebody could have abducted her, or could have, maybe she died while in the custody of somebody, and they were trying to get rid of the remains. So we were thinking of all aspects at that point in time.
Are there
When
any
was Mr.
surveillance
Rod
cameras in the area of where she was found?
We're looking at those right now. We're looking for that. Luckily, you know, there's cameras everywhere nowadays, and that's the first thing that we do, is to try to collect that information. And we're gonna canvass that area. We're doing that now. We'll interview everybody that lives in that area to see, you know, when she actually, when and how she ended up in the back of that vehicle.
When was Mr. Rod actually arrested?
A short time ago, within the last 20 minutes to half an hour.
Did you have to wait until you had an outcome before you could arrest her? How did that work?
Not necessarily. So she was coming in on her own volition, on her own accord, and that's a benefit to investigators. Usually once you place somebody under arrest, at that point, you're not able to interview them without an attorney and so on and so forth. So, you know, we wanted to see, you know, her reaction, we wanted to see where she went, you know, and continue to collect evidence. And once we realized we had Ms. DeLomba, then we knew that it was time to make the arrest.
So she was cooperating with you to some extent?
Well, cooperating is an interesting word, right? She was coming in, and she was providing some information. Most of it turned out to be false. And we interviewed a lot of other people too, connected to her. And, you know, we're not sure how much other people knew, you know, what the true story, if they knew the true story, or the story was between, you know, Ms. Gerard and Ms. DeLomba. We don't know.
Is it possible that anyone else may face criminal charges in this?
Of course, yes. So that's part of the investigation. If we, you know, determine that somebody else placed her in the vehicle, knew where she was, you know, they could be facing charges as well.
Colonel, the individual that found her, obviously the car's unlocked. Was the car unlocked? And when was the last time that he had actually been inside the vehicle?
My understanding is the car's been parked there for a few weeks, and I'm not sure was the car,
Jump started, been there for several days.
was it unlocked or what?
That we don't know yet.
Yeah, but she was way in the back area, way in the hatch area. So, you know, that raises our eyebrows, because, you know, to be able to get into a vehicle with her severe handicap and then be able to climb over seats and make it into the rear hatch. It had tinted windows in the back, so, you know, that's something we're gonna explore for sure.
Can you touch on the decision that I thought was aggressive in a good way, which was the press release where you announced it had turned into a criminal investigation, and you also alerted both the media and the public that the caregiver had not been truthful with police?
Well, you know, when somebody goes missing, the first reaction is, you know, they want to flood the area, and they want, you know, a lot of media. They were calling us, and I understand their curiosity, but we have a criminal investigation going, And to be honest with you, we didn't have a really definitive search area. And we knew that a lot of information we were getting was false, so to have everybody come in to search, you know, around North Clarendon, like, we even had our doubts that North Clarendon was in play, but we still had to do our obligation to search it. So, but I wanted to make it clear, and, you know, I was also hoping that maybe, Mr. Rhode would, at some point, fully cooperate with the investigation and actually give us truthful information. And I figured, you know, by putting the press release out, that the public needed to know that. I felt the public needed to know that. And you're right, it was an aggressive move, but there's an aggressive police department.
Thursday night, I observed, and we had you had the crime lab in North Clarendon, but that also on Sinclair. Is there's something that the Cranston crime lab found Thursday night that maybe was helpful or useful information?
We searched at both locations, and at this point, no valuable evidence was found in either location. So the Sinclair address, as I mentioned, it was partially furnished because they're in the process of moving out and selling the property. So, but we wanted to cover all bases, and you know, it was nothing that really stood out to us that helped us, you know, go in a different direction. But we had a lot of help from forensic information, the state police, between cell phones, cameras, flock cameras, you know, all that technology. You can imagine the volume of technology that we have at our fingertips, and it takes a while to go through that, and it takes a great deal of expertise to go through that. So a lot of our time was spent on that aspect of the investigation.
Colonel, can you just touch on, so the press release went out Wednesday night, then Thursday morning, another one went out saying still missing. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Cranston police just swamped the city. Every street I went down, there were Cranston police. The drones, the FBI Friday. Can you touch on the attitude and the collaborative effort that the department showed?
Oh, it was great. I think you saw Major Padalano out there yesterday, and the captain, and all these detectives, like I said, have worked around the clock. And, you know, the FBI, they offered their assistance, and we're never going to turn their assistance down. So they would help them with the ground search over the last couple of days, and they're actually, they're probably still coming tomorrow. They have an ability to collect a lot of surveillance camera footage and basically create a timeline, and their technology obviously is state of the art. So we'll never shy away from our federal and state partners. We have officers that are, detectives that are assigned there full time. So, and that's why, because they're a false multiplier, and we have all those assets at our fingertips.
So the investigation continues.
Oh yes, it's far from over. Obviously, the ultimate goal was to find Mr. Lumba, and we're thrilled that she's safe and she's okay. But this investigation is going to continue. We're going to put the pieces of the puzzle together to find out exactly how she ended up in the back of that vehicle.
I just have one more question. A number of the caregivers that I interviewed the past few days, they said she's got to take medication. Just a regular person, unsteady gait. The big question is, I mean, to me, she's been somewhere. It's just a matter of where she's been. It would seem that someone was feeding her and giving her medicine, and then there's no way she's been in that car since Wednesday.
Well, you bring up a good point, John, and obviously, I tend to agree with you that that would be a miracle, based on the information that we were given. She takes insulin every few hours, and you know, if you go without water, you know, for almost 3 days, and somebody in her, you know, physical condition, you know, that's something we're going to be looking into very closely. And again, we're going to find out hopefully when and who put her in that vehicle.
We asked the mayor a question. Could
Sure.
Mayor Hopkins step up?
Sure, John.
Mayor, people of Cranston have high expectations for the city. This is a high-profile situation. What do you want to say to the residents of Cranston about your police force?
Well, I'd like to start by first of all thanking our detectives, all of you for the work that you've done. I know it's been the last 72 hours. The leadership that we have in the city is second to none with our colonel and Major Padalano. I want to thank them for their efforts. I also want to thank the citizen that found Mr. Lumba. The fact that he immediately reported it may have helped to save her life. So we have a hero here as well. But again, as an administrator in the city in charge of public safety, it's my job to give these people whatever they need for resource to keep us safe. And I'm extremely proud of the fact that I'm the mayor of the city, and and I have a police department that does the job that they do. And I will continue to give them every possible resource to help us, especially in situations like this.
Mayor, what's the name of the hero?
I'm not at liberty to release that yet, pending further investigation.
Can we ask Major Catalano a question? Or Senator, could you just touch on the past couple of days when I would see various members of yourself, it just, there was a different energy. It was like an eye of the tiger. It was like a March Madness intensity. Can you just touch on that?
Well, look, we're the executive level administrators. We just come in. The people who do the work are the detectives. So all the credit goes to those men and women that do that. Detective Iacone, Captain McAteer, Detective DeSano, official you see here today. The reason they're here is because they did most of this investigation, and they are what they call the lead detectives in charge of the case. So without them, they're the people that bring the information to us and we relay it to you. So they get all the credit for the hard work.
Colonel, do you have an arrest report with Gerard's information on it you can release to us?
We will. We haven't formally arraigned her yet, but once she's arraigned, we'll release the booking photo as well as the charges.
Can you give us her information?
Absolutely, yeah.
How her name's spelled, all that stuff?
I don't have her date of birth in front of me, but it's Roberta Gerard, Gerard. And I'll get you more information. We'll get that out. And also just piggyback what the major said, at one point there was 30 to 50 investigators working on this case. And that every resource in this police department was put forth. And again, we were really hoping for this day, and I'm glad they had the patience, and I appreciate your patience. I know everybody wants the information right away, and we tried to put out what we could, but at the end of the day, I know, I received the text message, the emails all night, I get it. At the end of the day, we wanted to stand up here and give you the good news, and but you guys putting her photograph out, and John's been streaming from there, like, I give him a lot of credit. I don't know when the guy sleeps, but he was out there nonstop, and he interviewed one of my athletes from Special Olympics.
Yes.
So on and so forth, but I guess she was involved in Special Olympics at some point, so she's just a kind-hearted woman that unfortunately she was left, unattended, which should never have happened. And I know John brought this up too, is about an alert system when somebody with
Yes.
Severe disabilities is gone. Currently, there's a silver alert, which is for people that are over 60 that have been diagnosed with a cognitive issue such as dementia. And then there's obviously amber alert, which is specific to an abduction of a child. And you have to have a vehicle to go with that particular alert that goes along the message boards and the highways. But we would 100% be in favor of creating a new alert system for these situations. And I also feel that people with severe disabilities should have some type of ear tag or some type of tracking, on their clothing or on their backpack or whatever it may be, for situations such as this, where if somebody did get out of a vehicle, they should never be unattended to begin with. But my point is, it would have saved so much time and resources. But we learned a lot from this investigation. But one thing I'm confident is that we can solve just about anything here. And thanks to the mayor, we have the K-9 unit, we have the drones, we have the latest technology, the plate readers. Without that technology, a lot of these cases don't get solved. And I want to mention that because there is a bill at the State House that would restrict the use of plate reader cameras, and it would 100%, based on the legislation that I've seen, would have restricted us from searching those cameras for these types of situations. So, just want you to be aware of that. If you're up at the State House, these tools are being used responsibly, and this technology is absolutely necessary for these investigations.
One last, is the family reunited with her at the hospital right now?
Yes, they are.
That's
at the
great.
hospital. Yes,
Happy day.
yes, it is.
Next steps in the investigation?
As we mentioned, we're gonna canvass the area. We're gonna look at all the cameras in the area. We're gonna continue to interview people, and we're hoping we can make some headway to figure out how that came to be, how she ended up in that vehicle. Any other questions? We'll get that information out once we have the booking photo and the arrest report. Thanks. Thanks a lot for covering this, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's gonna do it from the police station.
Investigation move.